All right. Okay. Way to start this session. Thank you so much, Sabrina, for coming on to share your system success story with all of us. And I'm just super excited to talk to you because I know you have a very different perspective as to how systems has helped you. And so I'm just excited to get into it. So what we're going to do is just blaze through these questions and we'll be good. So first off, introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
I am Sabrina Torres, and I run Be Truly Social. It's a social media marketing company. So we do social media marketing for different businesses, and I also help people with my Be Truly Linked program, where I teach people how to get leads on LinkedIn.
Excellent. Okay, and tell me a little bit about your personality.
I'm an Enneagram 4, if that means anything to anyone. So I'm a wee bit, I like being different and a little bit emotional sometimes, but basically I am a pretty excitable person, I guess.
And would you say that your systems align with your personality?
Yes, they do now.
Okay. I love it. Okay, so first question is, what are some of the ways that you make money in your business?
So I make money in 2 different ways primarily. One is through my one-on-one social media marketing clients. So those are like monthly clients who pay me a retainer. And then I sell my program. So that's like a one-time fee.
And do your systems reflect, or are they the same in terms of both what you offer, or do they need to be different?
Right now, they're pretty different. So my primary focus has been on my one-on-one clients. So most of my systems are about that business.
And she has amazing clients, like from small entrepreneurs like myself to big international ones. So I'm so proud of you. I'm celebrating you. Oh, speaking of celebration, what are you celebrating because you have systems in your business?
I'm celebrating the biggest month I've ever had in my business this month.
Yay! Clapping, clapping, clapping. Okay, so next question. What does having systems in your business mean to you?
Having systems means sanity to me. It means that I was able to get all of my ducks in a row and actually outsource, because before systems, it was me basically crying a lot. So.
And how many people do you have on your team now?
Right now, I have 5 contract workers.
Okay, 5. That was more than the last time I talked to you.
That's awesome. People.
And I'm sure we're going to get into the systems about your contractors later and how you're able to do so without losing customer service, because that was something you mentioned that was a big concern for you. You did not want to sacrifice customer service by onboarding help. Okay, so let's go in the back. Let's talk about what your life and business were like before you incorporated systems.
So like I said, there was lots of crying. Basically for me, my problem was that I had this business that was growing very quickly and I didn't have a way to hand anything off because I didn't have a system in place to make that a smooth transition. So it was a lot of me having way too much on my own plate.
Oh, so you just answered my next question.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's great. I love it. So give me some examples as to how systems helped you take back your time and sanity. Because I know you mentioned sanity earlier, but what were some of the specific examples?
So for me, like I said, it allowed me to hire people for the first time. So the systems enabled me to actually take some of the things that shouldn't have been on my plate for probably like a really long time. It allowed me to hand those things off in a way that I was confident that there were checks and balances in place, that there was a system. And it basically allowed me to hand these things off so that I could focus on my own zone of genius. And that's how I'm able to now have the biggest month of my career, is because we were able to grow and expand and still maintain, like you said, the quality of the service.
And what were some of those things that you could finally hand off? Like, what was the first thing you handed off?
Probably the first thing I handed off was some content creation and engagement for my clients' businesses, their social media accounts. That's pretty like everyday in the weeds stuff. So I needed to have people that could do that. And that, I mean, it literally freed up hours of my day every single day.
And what did you do with all those hours?
I went and got more clients. Yeah, so I got new clients. That's having that actually is what enabled me to start my LinkedIn program, because once I had some of that client work taken off my plate, I could start implementing this program that I'd been planning and wanting to do for months and months, and just did not have the time to actually invest in making that happen.
Something you said to me that was super profound that I will never forget, because I was like, this is so important. It's like, you're like, I'm ready to stop only helping my clients grow their business. I'm ready to help myself, because as a social media marketer, since social media is so important now in the 21st century, it's like you're helping your clients get more visibility, get more traction, but at the cost of you in the past not being able to do it for yourself. And so that is something that I want to celebrate.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was the hardest thing, was like all of my time was on their businesses. And what about my little business?
And your family and your friends. Okay, so next question is, what are some of your favorite business systems right now that you're implementing?
So I'm obsessed with like the system that we have for content creation and approval. It has made my life so much easier. So for me, what that looks like is, all my contract workers are able to basically submit their content, and there's a process that we go through for my approval, for if it needs work done on it, and then through to posting. So that, for any social media manager is like the biggest deal. And also just having kind of like a system in place that is very clear of what my clients' needs are. It allows people to transition in and out. So if like actually literally last week, I had one contract worker leave and another contract worker take their place. And they were just moving on, and I was able to find someone new, and there was no like stress during that process because of the system that we'd set up, which was like mind blowing to me.
Okay, so tell me some of the favorite aspects in that system that was allowing you to allow somebody to move on and yet onboard someone just as fast at the same time.
So having, first of all, a specific place where all of that client's information is, and that it's like outlined in a way that makes sense. So I basically have client dossiers and their individual Trello boards. And but I think the biggest thing was also having in that same space a video to show my new contract worker what to do. So having something to explain the system instead of me having to do it every single time is a huge help.
Nothing like a broken record. Okay, so I'm interested to hear about your content creation system. So tell me how you created like trust into that system so that you could hand off the work to your contractors and still maintain excellent customer service.
So the first part of it is that client dossier, that information piece, that there is a place for my contract workers to go and refer back to at all times of like what we are looking for that client. Because that's always there, it kind of takes out a lot of the questions that might go back and forth. And anytime I need to add something to it, I can. So it's simple. And then once they have all that information, they're able to create the content, which they put onto like individual cards onto Trello. And they check off when they're ready for me to review it. And I'm able to go in and approve before they post or make comments. So because that all flows very nicely, and I can actually look at the board and see like what needs approval, what's been approved, and then also what's actually been posted. The posted part is a big deal because in the past, not everything got posted, even though it was reviewed. And, you know, having that kind of accountability of like, you actually have to move it and make sure that if you say that it was posted, it was posted. It sounds like a little thing, but it made a big difference in my ability to like trust that something was done.
Okay, so I know you already answered this, but aside from the two things you mentioned, like the Trello board and the client dossier, how else have you helped your contractors use your systems in an easy way? So I'm tweaking the question a little bit so we're not being repetitive.
Sorry.
No, see, you are on top of this.
So
this is a conversations more or less with lots of questions.
How was I able to
make it easy and effective for your people?
Honestly, I think the biggest thing was just ease of use. Like the actual system itself is so simple and it's not overly complicated. It's not full of too many steps, and it's not something where you have to click through a lot of things to be able to see the big picture. It's easy because it's actually easy, which sounds so silly, but I think we have a tendency to overcomplicate things. And I see this a lot in like people who try to buy like really fancy systems, or like they're not buying fancy systems, they're buying fancy programs and they think that's a system. And then the program itself, it just complicates everything. This is just so kind of keeping it to the bare bones of what's actually necessary and not adding superfluous stuff. And I think that's what makes it easy for my contract workers to use.
Excellent. Okay, so I know that there are going to be social media marketers and managers and other entrepreneurs who are most likely like type 4, like you watching. So what are some of the tips that you can leave so that entrepreneurs can start their own systems and make it easy, fun, sexy, and orgasmic?
First, they need to just talk to you. Like, seriously, you guys have no idea. I was a hot mess.
Thank you.
And honestly, a lot of it for me as a 4 was the emotional part of it. I was very like emotional about the process of creating a system. And I was very defeatist almost about it. Like, I'm never going to find anything that works. And, having somebody who actually knows their shit and, help me, it was able to like alleviate a lot of my fears. And also do it before you think you need it.
Oh, that's good.
Because I waited until I was like drowning. I don't recommend that for any, like, you guys don't understand the difference between like one client to the next can be the difference between I'm okay and all of my clients are mad at me. So before you think you need it, start creating the systems, even if just you are the one using that, so that when you're ready to bring someone in, it's easy, it's done, you can hand it off and not have to worry so much.
Yes. And I have to say, when I came into your business, it was not that much of a hot mess.
I was, though. That's
I
was a mess.
And what was it? From the time we implemented that onboarding Trello board for your contractors and the first iteration. So we're now on to the second iteration of the content creation, because the first iteration ended up getting a little more messy because you started getting so many clients, which was great. And
Problem
like I
to
always
have.
say, I'm sorry?
Best problem to have.
Yeah, best problem ever. I love that we were able to keep adding. And when we saw that the first Trello board was getting a bit stuffy, I recreated the system based on what your contractors were saying and also what you were saying to make it so that things just felt right. And now that we're on version 2, just like I tell everybody, systems are living, breathing, and ever evolving creatures, just like ourselves. So don't be afraid to change. Okay, any last parting nuggets of wisdom before I let you go off to your dance party again?
Last parting nuggets of wisdom is to also like trust yourself. And if you are working with someone to create your systems, Veronica, you need to like be very open and honest about what works for you and what doesn't. Like it has to be a system that works for you. You can't just like plug someone else's stuff and go, okay, I'm gonna force this. Like make sure that it's something that actually fits and that you're verbalizing like where issues are, because that only makes things better.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your systems success stories and letting me take a sneak peek into how you whip your back end into shape. I just want to say that as much as I can. You were wonderful, Sabrina. I'm so honored to call you my friend and also biz bestie. And everybody, if you need social media expertise, yes, that's me. Go hire Sabrina. She is awesome. She has helped me stay truly social on social media because it is actually a conversation and creating connection. So thank you so much for showing me how to be an awesome entrepreneur on these important platforms. Party time. Bye, Sabrina.
Bye.